Fellow South Africans, welcome to the second half of the year. I think, if I remember correctly, we are now on 125 days of lockdown. Yes, it's been a twist and tail, eh? Lots of things have happened since the last time we spoke. Most of you would have seen that I went live on June 16, and then I spoke here and there about a lot of other things. But I want us to talk about, obviously, you know the channel, it's live through an HR perspective, and I am Pumelele, your host. So I want us to talk about what is happening currently with regards to retrenchments and no work, no pay, TERS, etc. So following the lockdown announcement, and it was then level 5, and then it became level 4, and it became level 3. We're now sitting at level 3. A lot of organizations, companies all around, leadership decided to take salary cuts, 30%, 20%, 10%. And a lot of employees were put on no work, no pay, and were subsidized through the TERS function. But a lot of organizations, because of survival, had to make a tough call. So this call included, having to do forced retrenchments. So what happens during a retrenchment is that, obviously the management team sits down, rationalizes in terms of what are the business needs and, how can we survive as a company. And then they decide based on financials, amongst other things, and also the structure itself, and do we really need the amount of people that are there, or do we need the positions that are there? Because it's not about the people, it's about the positions actually. And then they do a forecast in terms of if they do layoffs, how much will that be, or do they restructure, like change people and send them to other divisions or departments? Retrenchment is usually the last resort. But most companies jump to that opportunity by just resorting to it. So unfortunately, because that was what the common trend that is happening at this time, many companies decided to use the retrenchment route. So in a retrenchment, you obviously consult with the people, and then you give them an opportunity or a window to offer alternatives, and then you open a window to apply for what is known as a VSP, or voluntary severance package, where a person opts out of the retrenchment process and just takes the money and exits the business. Others would then not opt for the VSP, but rather go through the retrenchment process. If not enough people have applied for voluntary packages versus the positions that are in the new structure, it follows a recruitment process where people apply for the positions that are available in the new structure, and then they are interviewed, and whoever is successful is confirmed in the role, and whoever is unsuccessful, is confirmed unsuccessful, and they follow the retrenchment process by means of a forced retrenchment. I'll cover the details in terms of what is the difference between a VSP and a retrenchment, in another video. But for me, it was just for me to share and reflect with you at what is currently happening with lots of companies around. And once a person takes retrenchments, obviously there's documentation that needs to follow, proof of employment, a retrenchment letter, a UI-19, and a work schedule so that the person can claim unemployment from UIF. And then, they can claim insurances that they have, and they withdraw from provident or pension fund. Now, a tricky thing that happens is that now you find that employees were applied for on behalf of their employer for COVID TERS. TERS is another pocket of UIF. So now you find an employee who has been retrenched pending their TERS money. So you've got a problem now. So they've got UIF or UI-19 forms to submit in order to claim unemployment, but they still have the company claiming their UIF for TERS. So now you can't submit two claims for unemployment at the same time. Now you have to apply for your name to be removed by the employer for TERS, then apply for unemployment via the UI-19 form because of retrenchment. So there's a lot of technicalities in terms of what is needed for you to be able to claim those monies. But it's best to ask a person or go to your nearest labor center to find out, and also work closely with your previous HR person or your payroll person in the company that you would have worked in. So once you do that, then you should be fine or settled for the next round. For many caring employers, that is, they do offer some counseling during this time, and it's important to make use of that counseling because it does bring things to perspective. Because the initial shock of a person receiving a notice to consult regarding a Section 189, it's very shocking. I mean, you have plans, you've got a family, you've got responsibilities, you've got things to pay, etc. And you're offered a letter, and then you don't know what to do. Often people don't consult. They either ignore until the very last consultation and then they act surprised, or they are proactive in terms of asking lots of questions in terms of what are the calculations going to look like, what are the options available to me, can't I wait the process out, what are the pros and cons of taking a VSP versus a retrenchment, and etc. And that is very important for a person to understand so that they have a well-rounded financial plan when exiting. Then you need to have a 3-month plan after that in terms of what you're going to do 3 months after you've taken the retrenchment package. Don't go and pay all your debts. That's not going to work. You need to pretend as if you are earning a certain amount of money each month in order for that money to sustain you. So I spoke to a friend of mine who also got retrenched. So they got around 80,000 Rand in total. And usually the person earned about 16,000 Rand a month. So if you calculate that money, it should last that person more than 6 months. If the person pretends as if they are earning that money each and every month. So if you take that 80,000 Rand and you split it by 15, it should last you more than 7 months in terms of that. So I would not recommend a person goes and pays off everything at the same time. Rather let that money sustain you. So you could put the whole lump sum amount in a holding account. Then on the 20th or the 25th, whenever your payday is, you transfer that money into your current account for your debit orders and all those things to take through. It's very important to be financially savvy because remember, COVID-19 and the lockdown is not an event. It's a long health crisis that we don't know when it's going to happen. Then you go into the job market. You go into your LinkedIn, update your profile, update your CV. Make sure that you have a targeted, employer application process. You need to scrutinize the financials of your employer or your future employer. Don't join because you like the brand, or don't join only because you need a job. Actually scrutinize, how that company is performing, because you don't want to find yourself in a similar situation. What has shown us, what COVID-19 and the lockdown has showed us, is that there are essential and non-essential companies or organizations or employees. So you ought to look at, your essential type of employers so that you know that you're going to be covered come another crisis, or even now that if there are any opportunities at your disposal to be able to apply to. So you need to look at whether it is essential or non-essential. Secondly, if it is essential, good. Look at the financials, look at the leadership of the organization, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation like that. And then you update your CV. Make sure your CV is 2 to 3 pages long, because it takes six seconds for a recruiter to browse through your CV. So you need to capture their attention. Remember, a recruiter or a hiring manager or a recruitment consultant in a company has hundreds of applications that they look through, either through online or through email submissions. So it needs to stand out, it needs to catch their attention so that you are able to at least score an interview. Make sure that your CV matches the job requirements of the job. So I know a lot of people don't like this, but you need to update your CV constantly and you need to align it to the job. And it's not to say you are lying, no. You are making sure that what is needed in the job is equal to what you are able to do. So if whatever is mentioned in the job profile, you have as a skill or an ability or an attribute, make sure it's on your CV. Because once the scoring and once the shortlisting process is started, people score based on what they see. Then that gives you the shortlist, and then from the shortlist, you are then able to get an opportunity to be interviewed. And at the interview, you fight for your life. Don't praise them. Don't praise yourself. Be honest. Be yourself. Represent yourself well. Don't play the sad card or remorse, etc. It was a no-fault exit if you have been retrenched, or it is not your fault. You were not responsible for what happened. But what you are doing, you are practicing resilience, you are managing change, and also you are able to bounce back. It might take you 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or even a year. But the quicker you bounce back, the better. It's easier for a person to get a job when they're in a job, or soon or close after they've left another job. So guys, all the best for your job hunting for this second half of the year. It really needs deep meditation or prayer, focus, planning, making an effort to get that next opportunity. All right. And I wish you all the best in all your endeavors. Take care and keep safe.